From the News Channel 5 Network, this is SportsLine.
And there's SportsLine on your television. Steve Layman here with you. Glad you are here with us on this Tuesday night on News Channel 5. Plus, as always, we open up the phone, 737-7767. If you'd like to chime in, we're going to talk some football tonight. A lot of Titans, obviously. And we're also going to talk a little bit about the Rock and Roll Music City Marathon coming up on Saturday. It's a fall race. Exciting to have it back. Might be a little chilly. But that's good for running. We're going to talk about that coming up as well here on the program. And anything else you'd like to get in, 737-7767. The number. The Titans, of course, with the huge win over the Saints, 23-21 at Nissan Stadium on Sunday. And once again, this team just figures out how to get it done, even with all the injuries that they've had. You've got Derrick Henry out. You've got Julio Jones out now on injured reserve. Ryan Tannehill was dealing with a stomach bug on Sunday. A.J. Brown comes up with just one catch. Let's stop right there. If I would have told you all of that going into a Titans game against the Saints back before the season started, say in training camp, if I would have said Derrick Henry, Julio Jones are going to be out, A.J. Brown's going to get one catch, and Ryan Tannehill is going to be sick and miss practice a huge chunk of the week and not feel great when the game starts, you would have probably thought the Titans were ready to get run out of the stadium by the Saints, not solidify their position as currently the #1 team in the AFC. But that's exactly what happened, because this team continues to figure out ways to win. And on Sunday, it wasn't pretty. They in no way, shape, or form looked like the #1 team in the AFC on the field Sunday. But they scored just enough points. They were efficient enough. And they got as many stops as they needed. And that's how they won a game, 23-21, not playing their best. And here's the part that makes them the best team. They're able to do that, and now they've won 6 in a row. 5 of them against playoff teams from last year. That is impressive stuff. The Titans are 7-0 overall against playoff teams from last year. It's remarkable what they have been able to do, and now they've done it with 82 different guys playing throughout the course of the season. Des Fitzpatrick and Kyle Pecco became the newcomers to join the fold against the Saints on Sunday. The all-time NFL record for most players used in a single season is 84. The Titans have used 82 through 10 games. There's still 7 games to go. They're going to obliterate that thing. But the other thing that's amazing is the 5 previous teams that have used over 80, so have come close to the record, and the teams that are tied for the record. All 5 of those teams finished the year with losing records. No one had more than 6 wins dealing with that type of injury situation throughout the course of the year. And meanwhile, the Titans are dealing with it in a rash that's probably worse than any of those teams ever experienced. And here they are at 8-2 and sitting on top of the division. Yes, the players deserve a ton of credit. Guys have stepped in. They've stepped up. The guys who have been healthy enough to go have largely been very productive. The defense is greatly improved. But I want to spend a little time right here to appreciate the job that Mike Vrabel and this coaching staff has done. Because when you look at this team and everything they've gone through, it's remarkable that they keep having the results that they do. Derrick Henry is not a guy that you replace with the next man up. He just isn't. He's a different breed. He's so good that he hasn't even touched the football or the field in the last 2 weeks because he's out with that broken foot. He is still the NFL's leading rusher. He hasn't played 2 games. He still leads everybody. That's how great he was through 8 weeks. There's nobody you can plug in to replace that. And we've seen that the last couple of weeks. The Titans have run for a total of 135 yards in the last 2 games. That's an average weekend for Derrick Henry, or at least it seems that way. But yet the Titans are figuring out a way offensively. Julio Jones is a future Hall of Famer. There is no one else on this roster, aside from A.J. Brown, who can come anywhere near the production that you're going to get from Jones. Yet the Titans keep trotting guys out there opposite Brown and coming up with just enough plays at wide receiver. On Sunday, it was Marcus Johnson, who had 5 catches for his third 100-yard game of his career. Guy that we saw do some things during training camp, had his own injury, was out for a while, has struggled to come back and have the impact that I think a lot of people thought he might given his production in training camp. But on Sunday, he was the breakout performer. Offensive line is nicked up, but still getting the job done. Yes, those guys deserve credit, but Mike Vrabel's ability to get guys from the practice squad, from the street in some cases, to step in and fill voids and do just enough is remarkable. And then I think there's a thing about the demeanor as well. He even told us yesterday, you don't panic as the head coach. And if you don't panic, chances are most of the people around you aren't going to panic either. They look to you. And when you look at it and say, okay, it's time for the next person to step up, everybody else just kind of looks at that and says, okay, let's move on. Let's figure out what we got to do. And several players have pointed out that Vrabel and this coaching staff are very explicit each week with the game plan. The keys to the game of what they have to do to beat whoever the next opponent is. And no matter who's available going into the week, they sit these guys down and say, okay, these guys are out, but you guys are in, and this group right here, we can figure out a way to beat Team X. And for the last 6 weeks, they've done it. It's the longest winning streak now in franchise history dating back to 2008, when that team started with 10 wins. They went 10-0 out of the gate, on the way to the #1 seed in the AFC. This Titans team has won 6 straight. Longest winning streak in 13 years for this franchise. And the more amazing stat is that one about the playoff opponents. 5 in a row only happened once before in the history of the NFL. 7-0 against playoff teams from last year overall. Well, that's where the Titans are right now. You've got a lot of mediocrity I should say, in the AFC right now, where you have teams that we think are good that continue to lay eggs. We saw the Bengals lose to the Jets. We saw the Bills lose to the Jaguars. We've seen the Chargers slip up here. The Chiefs have had their struggles. The Steelers just tied the Lions. I know Ben Roethlisberger was out, but the Steelers just tied the Lions. The Ravens lost in Miami on Thursday night. It seems like all of the contenders in the AFC recently have had hiccups. Up and down performances. And you can go back and say, look, the Titans lost to the Jets, and that's true. That was a horrible, inexcusable performance. But since that game, they've run off 6 straight wins. And in that time, the rest of the AFC has fallen into this malaise of up and down performances. I'm not sure how good the Ravens are right now. I'm not sure how good the Bills are right now. I think the Chiefs are getting better. But are they the team that's won the AFC the last couple of years? Can the Chargers get their mojo going back in the right direction? Raiders just lost at home the other night. Where do they fit in the mix? When you look at the Titans, they've avoided all of that. Yeah, they had that hiccup early, but now they're running with a confidence and a belief that they can get the job done regardless of the circumstance, regardless of who's able to dress and walk out there on the field with them on Sunday. And they have a great shot to run this to 7 straight wins this Sunday when the 1-win Texans visit Nissan Stadium. Now, next week, it gets a lot tougher, especially unless they get some of these bodies back when they go up to New England to take on the Patriots. The Patriots are the one team in the AFC that, like the Titans, He's playing really good football right now. So that should be a great matchup the weekend after Thanksgiving. But this weekend, the Titans should be able to take care of business against Houston. And if they do, that would not only be 7 in a row, but it would make them 9-2, and it would ensure a 6th consecutive winning season overall. That's something else we should take note of here. How about a round of applause for Amy Adams-Strunk, for John Robinson, and for the Titans organization? Because the only other time in the history of the franchise that they've had this level of sustained success, you have to go back to the late 70s and early 80s. That's how long it's been since they've had that many consecutive winning seasons. Even that run early on when they moved into the stadium over there across the river, went to a Super Bowl, had a couple #1 seeds. Even those teams didn't run off winning records in 6 consecutive seasons. The Titans are poised to do that this weekend. And Amy Adams-Strunk deserves a ton of credit for how she's changed the culture in that building, for the hires she has made, for the improvements to the facilities that she's brought on, and frankly, just making the Tennessee Titans relevant on the national stage, bringing in the NFL draft, getting them to a London game. Those types of things have made the Titans a relevant team around the NFL. And getting John Robinson in and the culture he's established and hiring Mike Vrabel has helped them go to the next level. So props to Mike Vrabel in the short term for this run that the Titans are on. Props to John Robinson and Amy Adams-Strunk for the long term and the fact that this weekend they're likely to secure a 6th straight winning season, which is really difficult to do in this league. But the Titans appear to have done it just like that. We will take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the St. Jude Rock and Roll Music City Marathon here in the streets of Nashville coming up Saturday. We'll get to that when we come back. This is SportsLine on News Channel 5+.